Okay, go ahead.
I found these feathers, and I just got a question for you. How do you know if it's a eagle feather, a goose feather, or a duck feather? I mean, this is too big for a duck, I'm sure.
Sure. Well, I can give you just a few pointers. That is actually an eagle feather, and I'll explain why here in a second. It's not the greatest specimen of an eagle feather, but it has some vermiculation. And vermiculation, the way I describe it, is like a bit like white dots. It sometimes appears more as a line, but usually dots. And if you look right here on the feather, it's got some white spots there. And if you look up towards the shaft, the point of the feather, there's a little bit of white here. A lot of eagle feathers will have more vermiculation. On a mature bird, you'll see a lot of the dark coloration, but you'll see quite a bit of white as well. And of course, if you had, a tail feather of a mature eagle, you would see the white tip on it as well. This other one here is more of a downy feather. We'll bring it right out here to see. Actually, I think it shows up better underneath that.
Okay.
And I'll bring it a little bit closer. So this is more of what I would describe as a downy feather, an under feather, and when they're in flight or preening themselves, which means cleaning themselves, they sometimes will fall out or they'll pluck them out. But you can see this feather has vermiculation, and that means, again, the white spotting in it. It almost appears in this particular feather almost like a stripe. Right there you can see it better.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes they're more of like little spots. And another thing, a lot of the feathers will have this nice little downy part. But yeah, so a really nice mature eagle feather that's an outer feather will have typically more vermiculation. A goose feather will be more just, all one color, and if it has any vermiculation, it'll be very, very minimal. A raven feather, which is commonly misidentified as an eagle feather, is darker, and they're all black. They don't have any other color, no lighter color with them. Also, another thing to keep in mind, a lot of people find eagle feathers and they enjoy them as a nice souvenir, but actually they're a federally protected bird under the Raptor and Federal Migratory Bird Treaty Act, and the U.S. regulates them. Of course, they're a national bird in the United States as well, and they're protected in the sense that it's actually illegal to possess these feathers. So we'll actually just put them back in the ground, and we'll do that at the end of this film. We're just picking them up to show people the differences. And so a lot of people will do that. The only exceptions are Native American Indian tribes. They are allowed to possess parts of eagles for religious purposes, and they actually legally have to do that through a program sponsored by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, where, for example, as a conservation officer, I found numerous bald eagles that were already deceased, and I also rescued 5 bald eagles that I was able to save, rehabilitate, and re-release into the wild. But the ones that perished and any feathers that might come off of the live birds, I turned over to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Or when other people would find, yep, you can see some vermiculation on the underside. When other people would find feathers and give them to me as an officer, I would turn them over to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And they go into a federal repository, which I believe is in Colorado, and there they're disseminated based on the need, and the Native Americans that wish to have legal parts of an eagle for religious ceremonies, for their regalia or other purposes, they actually legally have to apply and get put on basically waiting lists, and those parts then are disseminated equally amongst the need. So we'll put that back there in nature, and we're getting ready to depart the Klondike. So get outdoors and go wild.